Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to science classes from excelup.com. In this lesson, you will learn about the kingdom Animalia. You will learn about different phyla of kingdom Animalia and salient features of those phyla along with some examples. The first phylum is Porifera. Animals which come under this phylum, they have a simple body with holes or pores on the body, and because of the presence of pores, they are called Porifera. These are non-motile animals and they are attached to a support, a base. The pores on the body lead to a canal system, and through this canal system water circulates and water brings in food and oxygen. So these animals are covered with hard exoskeleton. There is no special tissue, and these animals, they show cellular level organization. These are commonly called as sponges. Some examples are this is Cycon and this is Spongilla. Phylum Coelenterata. This is also called Cnidaria. Coelenterates, they show tissue level organization. The term Coelenterata has come from coelom. There is a body cavity present in these animals, and this body cavity has just one opening. The body cavity is also called coelom, and that is why the name Coelenterata. The body wall is made of two layers. Okay, so two layers means that, let us say this is the transverse section of the body and these are body walls. The outer layer is called ectoderm and inner layer is called endoderm, and because of presence of two layers, these are called diploblastic. Di means two. Okay, some species, they live in colonies and others, they live a solitary life. Examples are Hydra, sea anemone. What is another unique feature about these animals is that they have tentacles, the whiplash like growth on top of their body, and these tentacles, they are used for catching prey. Next phylum is Platyhelminthes. Now in case of Platyhelminthes, there is further development. The body wall is now made of three layers. Okay, so earlier there were two layers, now there are three layers. So this is layer 2 and this is the layer number 3. So this is called ectoderm, this is called mesoderm, and this is called endoderm, and now these are called triploblastic. Okay, so this is the development. Another point is that these are bilaterally symmetrical animals, which means the body can be divided into two equal halves from only one plane. Okay, so for example, this is the body and you can divide it from this plane into two equal halves, this half and this half. Coelom is absent, and these animals, they show tissue level organization. So coelom is required so that organs can develop, and because coelom is absent, so these are also called acoelomates. A means no, coelomate means there is no coelom. The body is dorso-ventrally flattened. What does it mean? Dorsal means the upper portion of the body, the portion which is away from the base, and ventral means towards the base. That is, say for example, in human body, the abdomen is the ventral portion and the back is the dorsal portion. So from both top and bottom, the body of these animals is flattened. Okay, these are free livings or parasites, and they are commonly called as flatworms. Examples are planaria, liver fluke, and tapeworm. So this figure shows a planaria, this is a liver fluke, and these are tapeworms. Now next phylum is Nematoda or Aschelminthes. In this case also the body is bilaterally symmetrical. These are also triploblastic. Body is cylindrical here, unlike the flattened body in case of Platyhelminthes. There is still tissue level organization. Pseudocoelom is present, which means that in the body cavity, say for example this is the body cavity, some rudimentary coelom can be present. So coelom is still to develop. Okay, and that is why organs are yet to develop, and because of presence of pseudocoelom, these are called pseudocoelomate. Okay, these are parasitic worms. Examples are filarial worm, roundworm. So this is Ascaris, which is commonly known as roundworm. This is Wuchereria, and this is commonly called as the filarial worm. Next phylum is Annelida. The term Annelida has come from annules, means rings or segments. So these animals, they have segmented body. Okay, and now body cavity is present. So since body cavity is present, so organs can develop, and that is why these are called coelomates. Okay, now each segment has its own set of organ. That is the unique property of Annelida, and that is why the name Annelida has come. These are freshwater, marine, and terrestrial animals. Examples are earthworm, leech, Nereis. Here are the figures. This is Nereis, this is earthworm, and this is leech. You must be familiar with these animals. At least most of you must have seen an earthworm. Nereis, it can be seen in rural areas or maybe in old houses. The next phylum is Arthropoda. The term Arthropoda has come from joint appendages. These animals, they have joined legs with exoskeleton. Arthro means joint and poda means foot. This is the largest group of animals in terms of number of species. The body is segmented into 3 segments: head, thorax, and abdomen. This animal has open circulatory system, which means there are no closed blood vessels, and the blood flows in the coelomic cavity. The coelomic cavity is filled with blood. So there are some examples. A scorpion. This figure shows a scorpion. This is a spider, butterfly, housefly, cockroaches, grasshopper. There are so many examples. Dragonflies. Mollusca. Mollusca are animals which have a soft body covered with hard shell of calcium carbonate. The coelomic cavity is reduced, and there is a muscular foot for movement. This animal shows little segmentation. The circulatory system is still open. Now kidney-like organs, they appear at this stage for excretion. So now specialization is gaining ground. Okay, some examples are octopus. This is a snail, and this is unio, mussels. Unio is a type of mussels. Next phylum is Echinodermata. Echinos means spine and dermata means skin. These animals have spines present on the skin. These are marine animals. The speciality of these animals is a water driven tube system which is utilized for locomotion. The skeleton is made of calcium carbonate, and some examples are starfish, sea cucumber, sea urchin. This diagram shows the starfish or Asterias, and this is sea cucumber. Protochordata. Protochordata are bilaterally symmetrical triploblastic coelomates. So that is how the previous groups, they also have similar features. Now a new features comes at this stage, that is notochord. Notochord is present at some stages of life. Now I will explain about notochord a little later. These animals, they have rudimentary brains. Protochords may not have a proper notochord at all stages of life or for the entire length of the body. These are marine animals. The examples are Balanoglossus, Herdmania, Amphioxus. So this is the figure of Balanoglossus. Now next phylum is Chordata. Notochord is present at least at one stage of life, and now the notochord is present for the entire length of the animal. Okay. Apart from the notochord, there is a dorsal nerve cord and paired gill pouches along with pharynx. So let us see what is a notochord. Say for example, this is the body of an animal, and dorsal nerve cord and notochord means that this is the notochord. A nerve cord passes through the notochord. This is dorsal, means this is away from the base at the upper surface of the body. Okay. Now paired gill pouches or pharyngeal gill sets. This means there is an alimentary canal which starts from mouth to anus, and there are gills for respiration. So this is the basic design. Now what is the role of notochord? Notochord provides additional support for the structure. In tilted roofed houses or in old houses, you may have seen there is a central beam which supports which takes the load of the roof. Okay, and the notochord is similar to the central beam which takes the load of the whole body. Apart from that, notochord also provides additional attachment points for muscles so that legs can be developed. Okay, so our notochord is vertebral column, and there are 4 points for attachment of legs, the forelimbs, 2 points for forelimbs and 2 points for the hind limbs. What happens in human beings, the notochord, it turns into the vertebral column, and based on the presence or absence of vertebral column, the chordates, they can be divided into 2 groups, invertebrate and vertebrates. If vertebral column and skull bone are absent, then the animals, they are called invertebrate. If vertebral column and skull bone are present, then the animals are called vertebrates or vertebrata. Okay. Now vertebrates, they can be further divided into 2 categories. One is called cyclostomata and another is called gnathostomata. Jaws are present in gnathostomata and jaws, they are absent in cyclostomata. Because of the absence of jaw, these animals, they have circular mouth. These appear like fish, they have eel-like body, but they are not fish. Scales are absent from the body, and examples of are Petromyzon, that is lamprey, and Myxine, that is hawkfish. The gnathostomata, they also have skull bones. Skull bone is there. Gnathostomata can be further divided into classes. They are pisces, amphibians, reptiles, aves and mammalia. Now let us discuss about these classes. The pisces, they are commonly called as fish. They have a streamlined body and body is covered with scales. Fins and tails are present for locomotion. The heart of fish has 2 chambers. Respiration is by gills. Fishes are of 2 categories. One is called cartilaginous fish and another is called the bony fish. In case of cartilaginous fish, the whole skeleton is made up of cartilage. Bones are absent. In case of bony fish, major part of skeleton is made of bones and some cartilage is also there. There are numerous examples like dogfish or shark, salmon, tilapia, carp. This figure shows a stingray. This is any other fish. So shark is a cartilaginous fish, Tilapia is a bony fish. Amphibia. Amphibians, they are adapted to live both on land and water. This is what you must have read since your junior classes. Now let us be more specific. Even crocodiles, they are adapted to live on land and water. What about hippos? Okay, so now what is the difference? One difference is that amphibians, they carry out respiration by lungs when they are on land, and they use skin for respiration when they are underwater. But a crocodile, it has to come up above the surface of water in order to breathe. Okay. Then amphibians, they need water to lay their eggs. Without water, their life cycle, it cannot be completed. So eggs are laid in water, fertilization external, okay, which happens in water, and then later on eggs develop into different stages and finally to an adult amphibian. At larval stage, respiration is by gills. Examples are frogs, toad, salamander. This figure shows a frog. The scientific name is Rana tigrina. The next class is reptilia. Reptilia, they are crawling animals. They move by a crawling motion, and that is why the name reptile has stuck to them. Okay. Reptilians, they have 3 chambers in their heart. They are cold-blooded animals, which means they cannot control their body temperature. They have to depend on the environment for the body temperature. Crocodiles, they have 4 chambers in their heart, but still crocodiles are cold-blooded animals. Scales are present on body. Respiration is by lungs. Examples are turtle, snake, chameleon, alligator, lizards. This is the figure of a king cobra. Aves. Aves have 4 chambers in their heart. They are warm-blooded animals, which means they can control their body temperature. They do not have to depend on the environment for maintaining a proper temperature of the body. The 4 limbs are modified into wings so that they can fly. The body is covered with feathers, and there are many adaptations, flight adaptations in these animals. You can count so many examples of birds like pigeon, parrot, crow, eagle, swan, duck, so on and so forth. Mammalia. In mammalia, mammary glands are present for milk production, and milk is produced so that young ones, they can be nourished. Hairs are present on the skin. External ears are present. Now these are the new features. External ears, they are not seen in any other group of animals. Most of the mammals, they are viviparous, which means they give birth to live young ones. Some are oviparous, like platypus. Some mammals, they give birth to premature babies, say for example kangaroo, and the premature baby is then incubated in the pouch which is near the abdomen of a kangaroo. So that's all about the classification of animal kingdom. Let us now talk about binomial nomenclature. The binomial nomenclature is used for writing the scientific name of animals and plants. It was proposed by a scientist, Carolus Linnaeus. As per this system, a name contains, a biological name contains 2 names. The first one is called genus name and the second is called species name. The genus name begins with a capital letter and species name, it begins with a small letter. Both are written in italics. If they are handwritten, then you have to underline both of them separately to show that they are scientific name. Okay, so for example, the scientific name of human beings is Homo sapiens. For frog, it is Rana tigrina. For rice, it is Oryza sativa. For wheat, it is Triticum Astibum. Okay. For onion, it is Allium cepa. Okay. For mustard, Brassica campestris. There are so many. You don't need to remember these biological name at this stage. That's all for this lesson. Thank you.